What's going on, guys? So today I'm going to talk to you about something that you might be worried about, and that's the red face test. The reason I'm making this video is because I get questions and stuff from you guys all the time about the red face test, and you hear that if you fail the red face test, then you're going to get recycled and you're going to have to basically start basic training all over again with another company, with another platoon, because you failed this test. And you're like, what is this test? Well, I've talked about it a little bit before, but I have specifically here in my amazing notebook that I'm glad I wrote, which in this notebook I wrote down basically what we did every single day at basic training. And right here on the day that we took the red face test, I have the 9 different things that we had on the test. So I'm gonna let you guys know basically what those are, and then what happens if you actually fail the red face test. Do you actually get recycled, or does nothing happen to you? So the first thing here is the Army song and the Soldier's Creed. And if I remember correctly, what we did for our test on this is you're gonna take the red face test in 2 separate locations. You're gonna have kind of a written portion and then like a more hands-on where you actually demonstrate stuff. So you are literally going to, like, say the Soldier's Creed in front of your drill sergeant in his like office area or whatever, somewhere private so that other people can't hear or whatever. But that's basically what you're gonna do, and that's gonna be how you're tested on that. But you're also going to be tested on your weapon assembly, disassembly, the parts and pieces, and then a functions check. So a functions check is basically ensuring that your weapon functions properly, it works properly. So after you take apart your weapon and you put it back together, generally you do a functions check just to make sure that you've got everything, you know, put back together. So if you forgot the firing pin, then you will figure that out. But how that was tested for us was the drill sergeants had us all get in between our bunks, and he had a timer. I think it was like 2 minutes or something. So you had like 2 minutes to take it apart and 2 minutes to put it back together. So after he timed the first 2 minutes to take it apart, he said stop, and you had to move out. And if you did not have it disassembled in those 2 minutes, then you failed that portion. And then he did another 2 minutes and you had to assemble the weapon, and he said stop. If you didn't put the weapon back together in those 2 minutes, then you failed that portion. And I will tell you guys, when you're at basic, or like right now, if you're worried like, oh, I've never taken apart a weapon before, you're gonna do that plenty. You should be doing that plenty, because every single night you're gonna be cleaning your weapon. And by doing that, if you just do it for the fun of it, like I did a bunch of times, you just see how fast you can take apart and put it back together your weapon. Or you blindfold yourself, like I've done a bunch of times, or like close your eyes. You close your eyes, take apart your weapon, and put it back together, and do that as fast as you can. And if you can do that, then doing it in 2 minutes, being able to see, is going to be the easiest thing in the world. So you don't need to worry about that. The other thing is the chain of command. Basically, this is from your company level all the way up to the President of the United States. So from your company commander to your battalion commander, and the NCO rank, so your company first sergeant, your command sergeant major for the battalion, all the way up to like the TRADOC commander, the TRADOC command sergeant major, all the way up to the Secretary of Defense, and then the President of the United States. So just a whole bunch of other ones that I didn't mention, but you're gonna have to know the chain of command from your company and how that relates and translates all the way up to the President of the United States. You're gonna have to have that memorized, and what you're probably gonna have to do is actually write out the actual chain of command on the written portion. So that's gonna be part of there. The ranks, you're gonna have to know the rank structure. You're going to have to know some of the things that you're gonna have classes on. So some of the things you're gonna have classes on during red phase is Sharp, EO, MOP, JS List, and CBRN, CBRN. If you wanna know what any of those things are, you can seriously just like rewind what I just said, then Google those things and you can figure that out. The preparation drills is another thing that we were tested on, and this is the first 10 little like stretching drills and activities that you do in the morning, every single morning for PT. And what we had to do for this was the drill sergeants had us all basically, we were in smaller groups, and the drill sergeant had us all basically face outward so we couldn't see each other, and the drill sergeant called out the command. So he was like the bend and reach, in cadence, 1, 2, 3, and basically he's saying it and you're performing the exercise. You need to be doing it at the correct speed and all that stuff. So if you can do that, then you know the preparation drills, or whatever ones that they're gonna call it maybe 2 or 3 of them. And if you pass that, then you pass that. We were also tested on heat, cramps, burns, and shocks. That's kind of like a first aid thing. And then we were also tested on more first aid. So during red phase, you're gonna learn some first aid stuff. That's what you're gonna be tested on here. It's not gonna be super in-depth stuff. Do not worry about it, but you will probably be tested on that. And the last thing I have here is drills. And that's basically your facing movements and stuff like that. Basically, the things that you're gonna do on a regular basis in formation, moving around and stuff whenever you are a soldier at basic training, so that's gonna come easy to you. Everything on this list. If you're not in the military yet, some of these things might seem difficult. You might be like, oh my gosh, I gotta memorize the Army Song and Soldier's Creed. You're gonna know those like the back of your hand. You know, your weapons assembly, disassembly, that's gonna be easy. Chain of command is probably one of the harder things for people because it's just like a really just dry, boring thing to remember. It's just a whole bunch of people's names, their rank, what position that they hold, and all that stuff. So everything else is really not that bad. And I will tell you guys that you are going to be tested on probably all this stuff. A few things might vary just depending. So if you're maybe not tested on like heat, cramps, burns, and shock, maybe a couple less first aid things, maybe a couple more weapons, you know, stuff. So if you're going to do, you know, present arms and they're trying to have you do drill and ceremony with your rifle, that could be a possibility. But the thing here is you are going to be tested on the majority of stuff that you are learning during red phase on the red phase test. And for those of you who are currently stressing out about this test, maybe you're like, oh, I'm not that smart, I'm not gonna be able to do this stuff. It's not going to be that bad. You are going to learn everything on here. And the other thing that I do want to say here is if you do happen to fail, if you do terrible on this red phase test, it's not going to be a big deal. You know, they'll say a lot of times, you know, you have to pass the red phase test in order for you to move on to the next phase. And if you don't pass it, then you fail. I will tell you without 100% certainty, but I'm pretty sure that there were people that maybe didn't do so hot on this whole red phase testing, but the drill sergeants, I don't even think even graded the test. Like, it was just like a formality, like you just take the red phase test and then that was it. Because there was this one portion of the red phase test that we had to write on paper and stuff, and on that portion we didn't even turn it in. Not the actual written portion, but there was like this one section with the rifle and stuff that we would write down what we passed or what we failed, and we didn't even have to turn that in. So it may just be that it's just kind of like a formality. Now maybe if you just do horrible, like you get like a 0 on this thing. So basically this video is just to let you guys know kind of roughly exactly what's going to be on your red phase test, and then to tell you guys that it's not going to be the end of the world. If you do bad on this red phase test, you're probably not going to get recycled. If you get recycled, it's going to be for another reason besides this. But if you just so happen to forget, you know, who the Secretary of the Army is, I mean, that's not going to be a big deal, and they're not going to recycle for you for that. Or if you just, you know, if you couldn't disassemble your weapon or assemble your weapon in those 2 minutes, they're not going to recycle you for that. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a little test, you know, at the end of red phase to, I guess, show you probably more so than the drill sergeants of where your knowledge is at. Because if you don't know some of these first aid things, if you don't know the Soldier's Creed, and this is the first time that you're going to be tested on it at basic training, you know, that's something good for you to know. If you don't know the Soldier's Creed as a soldier, that's definitely something that you should work on. So that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can hit that like button. That would be awesome. If you want to stick around for some more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That would be even better. If you're not following me on social media, links are right here. Yes, links are right here. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys later.